Hello, I'm George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here with WNK, and I wanted to make a video kind of going over the details of how Hurricane Helene will impact Kentucky from Thursday night to around Sunday morning. I know there's been a lot of talk about this, and it's actually coming on board here in Florida here very soon. We're watching it very closely and monitoring any changes, but I feel like we have a good handle on what to expect here in Kentucky. So let's go ahead and break down that information for you. Switching over to our full display here, I kind of wanted to show you overall the very general outlook of what's happening here. So again, it's kind of a cool effect. It's called the Fujiwara effect, and we're going to see that take place here on this model as I push through here. I just want to kind of scroll this through and show you what's happening. At this point, Hurricane Helene is making its way inland, but you can see it's already pushing rains up to the Carolinas, the Tennessee, and even eastern Kentucky at this point. Pushing this on forward a few more hours, you'll see that low pressure shoots all the way up through the southern portion of the country, and then kind of comes up to Kentucky and says, "Hey, let's do a little dosey-do." So I want to stop this right here. Go back one click. You'll see this big L right here. That's actually your Hurricane Helene low pressure. You'll see this little circle over here. It's not marked with an L, but this is also a low pressure. They're so close. If I take this back a few clicks and then fast forward it, you'll see them kind of dance around each other. So kind of keep an eye on it. That little circle in western Tennessee now, and then we're going to kind of just push us forward here. And what will happen is you'll see that low pressure just slingshot its energy down to western Kentucky and just sit there and then eventually dance its way out to the east. Now, this model can't see that far, but that is the Fujiwara effect. When two low pressures that are that strong get close together, they start to dance around each other, just spin. And that area where it spins, now you're going to hear that and think tornado, but not in this case. It's just going to spin and create even more hours of rainfall. Speaking of that, let's go ahead and zoom into the local view here of our composite reflectivity and kind of show you when things start to kick off. Thursday around 3 p.m. Eastern Time, some spotty showers start to take place at this point, so here in a few hours from when I'm making this video. And we'll see those kick off to western Kentucky. I wouldn't be surprised if we see maybe a couple of strong thunderstorms with this, maybe even a severe warning or two around Thursday afternoon and evening out in the western portion of the state, like let's say near Henderson or toward Madisonville, going toward Paducah, maybe even back down toward Hopkinsville. I don't expect a whole lot from this, but a couple of strong thunderstorms might present themselves as things start to get going here. Around Thursday, around 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, you see some of those more steadier rains are now pushed again all the way up to the Louisville area at this point, stretching all the way over to western Kentucky. Some heavier rains there. Again, the actual hurricane itself has not made it up to Kentucky yet. This is all from that Fujiwara effect, slingshotting its energy up to the other low pressure, right? So the actual hurricane itself, it won't be a hurricane, of course, by the time it gets to Kentucky, but just for layman and simple terms, the actual hurricane itself moves in around Friday morning, I want to say. Western, central, and eastern Kentucky at this point getting into that spotty, heavier rain showers, moderate rain showers ongoing. The heavier rains overall start around 4 to 5 a.m. on Friday. That's Eastern time, by the way. And then clicking this on forward through Friday morning, see that heavier band stretching up along the northern portion of the state from actually all the way from Ashland, Kentucky toward the Henderson portion of Kentucky and everywhere in between at this point. You'll start to see that western Kentucky will begin to pick up on the rainfall here very soon as that low pressure, like we showed you a couple moments ago, starts to spin, stall out, and then move its way out. Eventually, we'll have to switch to a different model. This model can only see 48 hours out, but I wanted to kind of give you an hour by hour for at least now through your Saturday morning. Pushing through to Friday around lunchtime, some of your rain starts to take a break out there in eastern Kentucky, but hold up, you're not done yet. Just wait. At this point, the heavier rains are focused on western Kentucky and stretching into central a little bit. Friday around the evening time frame, the rush hour on Friday, heavier rains stretch from the Ohio River down toward western Kentucky, and then stretching on through to Saturday. I want to show you that wraparound effect that we're talking about. So that means we have to switch around to the other model here, and we're going to switch to this one. Now this one isn't as great at handling hurricanes, but it'll kind of give you a general idea of what to expect on Saturday. So clicking this on forward here, I actually want to bring this back a little bit. This is Friday around midnight. We saw this. Here's that wraparound effect that we told you about. Now it's going to kick that rain and those winds up towards central and eastern Kentucky. And you'll see it just steady rainfall all the way through Saturday morning. And going to Saturday afternoon now, that rainfall begins to kick out toward eastern and up toward Ohio at this point, and just left with spottier rain showers all the way through Sunday around lunchtime. So That's your rainfall. I want to show you the wind gusts that we're looking at here in a moment, but before I show you that, I'll show you the total rainfall that we're looking at here. This is from the NAM 3K model. Total rainfall looking like roughly 3 to 5 inches for most folks. Or I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. 2 to 5 inches for most folks. Some places could see upwards of 6 inches. I cannot rule it out, especially again where that low pressure is stalling out in western Kentucky, anywhere from Evansville, Indiana, down toward Murray, Kentucky. I think that's where you're probably seeing your heavier rainfalls. Some spots throughout central and eastern Kentucky, like you see these little blobs right here, will push up towards 6 inches as well. Some of those heavier bands will set up. Of course, we can't see that beforehand. We'll have to wait till that actually occurs. But overall, 2 to 5 inches for everyone in the state. So if you're asking me, George, will we get rain here? Will we get rain there? Will we get rain on our back porch here? Absolutely. Everyone in their state at minimum sees 2 inches of rain out of this by Sunday morning. So it'll help everyone's drought monitor status out. In fact, I think we'll see some flash flood warnings, especially on the central and western side of the state. So everyone sees a lot of rainfall from this. Rainfall isn't the only thing that we're going to see from this, by the way. Wind gusts of up to 60 mile per hour are possible, more like the 35 to 50 mile per hour range, but some isolated pockets will scoot up toward that 60 mile per hour metric there. So fast forwarding this on to Thursday evening here, you see some scattered 25 to 30 mile per hour gusts are ongoing at this point. But when the actual low pressure from the hurricane gets here, that's when the winds really kick up. So let's go ahead and fast forward this to about Friday morning. And you'll see that this model is trying to show some ridiculous winds. By the way, I don't think this says 80 mile per hour winds out here for, let's say, the Nicholasville area. I don't think that's the case. I really don't. I do think that widespread 35 to 50 mile per hour winds are possible. I will say one note, though. Every model we look at does show at least 70 mile per hour winds on the eastern side of the state at some point on Friday. Now, to me, contextually speaking, that seemed a little bit aggressive. I do think, again, widespread 35 to 50 mile per hour gusts are possible throughout the entire state, especially Friday morning going into Friday afternoon. Some spots might see a warning or two come out for 60 to 65 mile per hour wind gusts very briefly. But when you're talking about above that, I don't really see that happening. I think the models are being a little bit too aggressive. I really do. Fast forwarding this on to that afternoon time on Friday, see those heavier winds are now scooting up towards southern Indiana and Ohio. Once again, I do feel like they're being a little bit aggressive on the wind gust. And then those kind of push out toward western Kentucky. You'll see that low pressure, see the actual just very big noticeable gap in the winds. That's where your low pressure is actually sitting. So whoever gets the low pressure on them, yes, you'll see a lot of rain. But you actually get a bit of a break from the wind gust because the winds will actually be shoved all around it, not actually where the low pressure is. So fast forwarding this on to Saturday here, you'll see those wind gusts are kind of just easing away at this point, and where we see those streaks of rain, those will really dominate at this point on Saturday. So overall, we'll see 2 to 5 inches of rain from Hurricane Helene starting tonight, late Thursday, but more so, primary days absolutely Friday, where we see those heavier rains and heavier wind gusts. I think we'll see 20 to 30 mile per hour sustained winds with gusts up to about 50 mile per hour. And again, that goes for the entire state at different times on Friday. All right. And then on Saturday, I think we'll see a wraparound effect. Where exactly that wraparound effect takes place, we'll have to wait a few more hours to kind of get a good idea on that. We'll need this thing to come on land first, and then we'll start to see some wobbling, and then we can kind of start to decide on what's occurring on Saturday. But I do have a good feeling that central Kentucky and eastern Kentucky will see wraparound rain effects from that Fujiwara effect on Saturday, especially by lunchtime hour. And then on Sunday, or I'm sorry, back up a little bit. On Saturday night to Sunday morning, I think we're looking at more spotty, pop-up stuff at that point. Your more classic summertime storms, a little bit more hard to predict on that. So we'll have to just play that by ear. But again, overall, everyone will see the effects from Hurricane Helene in Kentucky. And our prayers are going out to Florida, where they're expected to see up to 20 feet of storm surge, which is unsurvivable. So if you have any friends down there, family down there, or if you're planning on going to vacation in that Florida area, or if you're already down there, get out. I don't understand why we keep trying to do this with hurricanes that are this strong. I thought we learned our lesson at Katrina, right? Get out of there. 20-foot storm surge is absolutely unsurvivable and catastrophic. On top of that, you're adding 6 to 8 inches of rain at least, and up to 110 mile per hour winds on the coast. Actually, I think they revised that to up to 130 mile per hour winds on the coast. And then inland, you're talking about tornadoes spawning everywhere from the eastern side of Florida all the way up to the Carolinas at that point. It is a mess down in that southern portion of the country. Don't go down there for a while. Anyway, I'm George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here with WNK. Hope this has helped you understand what's happening in Kentucky over the next 72 hours. Stay safe.